Desert ecosystems. A desert is an ecosystem that gets very little precipitation, usually less than 25 centimeters in a year. Deserts can have sand dunes, mountains, and other landforms. Many deserts have hot days and cool nights. Other deserts are cold. To survive in the dry climate, desert plants have special structures. Some have large, shallow root systems. Since the roots are near the surface, they can take up rainwater quickly. Many kinds of bushes and shrubs grow in deserts. A shrub is a woody plant. Inside of having a single tree trunk, like a tree, it often has branches that will go far out from its base. Animals are also adapted to life in the desert. Many rest during the hot day. They move around more when it's cooler. Usually they hunt when it's nearly or completely dark. Bighorn sheep live in both low deserts and high deserts. So you can see how this type of ecosystem in a desert ecosystem, the types of plants and animals that are here are plants and animals that can survive with little to no rain and can withstand certain types of temperatures. Low desert and high desert. California's Colorado Desert is a low desert. It ranges from below sea level to 915 meters above sea level. There are sandy areas, salt flats, and low mountains. It gets 5 to 15 centimeters of rain per year. The rain can cause floods. Jackrabbits, bighorn sheep, desert tortoises, roadrunners, and rattlesnakes live among shrubs and cholla cactus in the low desert. California's Mojave Desert is a high desert. The Mojave ranges from about 915 to 3,353 meters above sea level. It is hot in summer, but it can snow in winter. There are mountains, sandhills, and flat places in the Mojave. It gets between 7 and 26 centimeters of rain or snow per year. Bighorn sheep, coyotes, and bats live in the Mojave. So do plants such as Joshua trees, sagebrush, and pinyon pines. Rainforests. A rainforest is an ecosystem that has large amounts of rain and thick plant growth. Most rainforests are tropical. They are found in hot and humid places near the Earth's equator. Some of these forests get over 3 meters of rain each year. The rainforest's top level is the canopy. Tree branches and leaves tangle together to form it. Most rainforest animals live in the canopy. Monkeys, as well as birds, such as the scarlet macaw, live there. The canopy. Animals that live in the canopy include monkeys, brightly colored birds, and butterflies. Some animals may spend their whole lives in the canopy. And that makes sense. If you are able to receive everything you need to survive in one spot, why would you leave, right? So if a monkey is able to receive protection from the climate, protection from predators, food and water, and everything they need in one spot, they're not going to leave. And that may be the canopy for some of these type of animals and plants. Under the canopy is the understory. Orchids, vines, small trees, ferns, and other plants that need shade grow there. The forest floor is the rainforest's lowest level. It can be bare or covered with a thin layer of dead and decaying leaves. Often on the ground, it is moist or soggy. Temperate rainforests. Have you ever visited the redwood forests along California's north coast? They make up the part of the North America's temperate rainforest. This rainforest runs from Alaska down to Canada, and then through Washington, Oregon, and into northern Canada, or California. Temperate rainforests are cooler than tropical rainforests, but they still get a lot of rain. Like tropical rainforests, they also have a lot of plants and animals. So I bet you didn't realize this, but we have rainforests in North America, in our country. I'm sure a lot of you and most other people actually, when you think of and hear rainforest, you're gonna automatically assume the Amazon in Brazil, or other places closer to the equator. That's not actually true. All the way from Alaska, then through Canada, and all the way down to California, we have these temperate rainforests. And those ecosystems are not the exact same as the rainforest you would assume in South America, but they have very similar climates and very similar type of ecosystems. Temperate rainforests grow on the northwest coast of North America from Alaska to California. Coral reef, rainforest of the ocean. A coral reef is a ridge or a mound formed by the skeletons of certain tiny sea animals called coral polyps. Coral grows and then dies. Coral skeletons build up the reef over time. Coral reefs have a lot of marine or ocean life. Sea turtles, clownfish, starfish, and sponges live in coral reefs. So do sea worms, clams, oysters, sea slugs, algae, and seagrass. These many species show why coral reefs are sometimes called the rainforests of the oceans. Certain kinds of sharks and starfish live in and around coral reefs. The coral reef that form reefs need plant-like algae to survive. This algae is inside the coral and makes oxygen and food the coral can use. The algae benefit too. They get carbon dioxide and shelter from the coral. This kind of relationship between two organisms is called symbiosis. In symbiosis, the relationship helps one or both of the organisms. One-celled algae are the main producers in marine ecosystems. Some algae can only grow in warm, shallow waters where there is a lot of sunlight. Coral that grows in shallow water need these algae in order to survive. This is one reason why certain corals grow better in warm, shallow water. Without symbiosis, coral would not be able to survive. This would harm the many organisms that depend on coral. So earlier on this page, the connection between rainforests and coral reefs was made, and hopefully you were able to kind of make your own connections about why you think that is. My ideas and thoughts were that the rainforest has different layers and different places where different animals grow and thrive, and so does the coral. Obviously, some are higher up and some are deeper into the coral, some are on the outer edges of the coral. Also, just so many different types of species of animals live inside the coral, just as the rainforest. And in that way, symbiosis comes into play. So again, symbiosis is something where basically you help me, I'll help you, or sometimes you just help me and I don't do anything. It's just like basically the way we can say living organisms have relationships with each other. But you're not going to say, oh, that coral has a relationship with the clownfish. You're not going to say it like that. There's symbiosis. The clownfish receives the relationship and through symbiosis in the means of it receives shelter from the coral and food. So all ecosystems have forms of symbiosis. And that is it. So again, hopefully this was just a nice little review about ecosystems. We know that if one part of the ecosystem is functioning and well, then it's likely that the other parts of the ecosystem are functioning and well. But if something happens to one part and it breaks down or it stops working the way it's supposed to, it's likely that the other parts will break down too, and it could cause some severe issues. My way of thinking about it is kind of just like in your home. If you have two parents in your home and a bunch of kids, and one of the parents gets sick, and has to be in bed for a few days, then the second parent has to take the responsibilities of their own and then the responsibilities of the first parent, and then also take care of that sick parent. So just everything kind of slowly breaks down. And sometimes chores get done and sometimes they don't, right? But hopefully that parent will eventually starting to feel better, and they'll get back into the ecosystem. We'll get back into doing what they're supposed to do to make everything run and function well. And that's how this is. If you take out one part of the ecosystem, let's say you start hunting a specific animal or even a plant in a specific ecosystem, it could possibly harm and endanger other living parts of that ecosystem. And sometimes even the non-living. The things we do in our ecosystem that actually still affect the weather. We know that the water cycle is affected throughout different parts of it also. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and get a little break this week from not having to do a quiz. I miss you guys. Bye.